It always begins quietly, not with sirens or breaking news, but with something small, almost invisible. A glance that lingers too long. A message that feels a little too personal. A friendly gesture that starts to repeat itself until friendly no longer feels like the right word. For Emily Carter, that moment happened on an ordinary Monday morning. She was 28, a nurse at Riverside Memorial Hospital. She thrived on the chaos of the emergency ward. 12-hour shifts, caffeine for breakfast, and a calm efficiency that only seasoned nurses master. Patients loved her. Colleagues relied on her. Her world was busy, bright, and grounded in the simple joy of helping people get well. Then Ryan Hale transferred into the imaging department. He wasn't remarkable at first glance. Mid-30s, neat haircut, polite, always on time. Quiet, almost shy. When he introduced himself, his handshake was steady and his smile unassuming. Emily didn't think much of it. She had just come out of a long relationship and wasn't looking for new attention. But Ryan noticed everything about her. The way she hummed when she prepped 4 lines. How she tucked her hair behind her ear when concentrating. The color of her scrubs on each shift. Details that most people would forget by lunchtime. Ryan collected them like clues. At first, his attention felt harmless. He brought coffee to the nurse's station one morning. A week later, flowers appeared at her locker. Simple daisies and signed. Emily smiled, assuming they were from a patient's family. When Ryan finally admitted they were from him, she thanked him politely but made no promises. She thought he'd drop it there. He didn't. Days turned into weeks, and his presence became constant. He volunteered for every shift that matched hers. He lingered after work, offering to walk her to her car for safety. He sent messages, first 1 or 2, then dozens, short comments about her day, her smile, the meaning of fate. Emily began to feel uneasy. She'd seen controlling partners in her patients' stories before. The quiet possessiveness that always escalated. She told herself Ryan was just lonely. Still, she started parking in different spots, leaving working groups, locking her phone with a new code. Ryan noticed a change, and something inside him shifted. In his mind, Emily wasn't pulling away. She was playing a game, a test, and he was determined to prove he would never quit on her. Ryan's journal, later found by investigators, revealed the thoughts that consumed him in those early months. Page after page described Emily not as a person, but as destiny. He wrote, "She's a calm in the noise. She just doesn't know it yet." Another entry read, "Every sign points to us. The universe doesn't make mistakes." Those words sound poetic until you realize they weren't written by a poet. They were written by a man losing his grip on reality. Psychologists call it erotomania, a delusional belief that someone, often of higher status or emotional distance, is secretly in love with you. Every rejection becomes proof of affection disguised as restraint. Every boundary becomes an invitation to push harder. Ryan's delusion was textbook. When Emily ignored a message, he'd tell himself she was afraid of her feelings. When she said she wasn't interested, he'd insist she was lying to protect her reputation. The story in his mind was safer than the truth, and he chose to live there. One chilly autumn evening, Emily left the hospital late. The parking lot was empty, except for a few scattered cars under flickering streetlights. When she reached hers, she found something under the wiper, a rose, deep red, wrapped in tissue paper. No note this time, just silence and the hum of the night. She felt her heartbeat quicken. There were cameras, security guards, but still, she couldn't shake the feeling of eyes watching. She threw the rose away and drove home, trying to convince herself she was imagining things. But she wasn't. Across the street, Ryan sat in his car, headlights off, whispering to himself. She saw it. She smiled. She understands now. Over the following weeks, his behavior tightened like a noose. He learned her routes, where she bought groceries, which coffee shop she liked, what days she did laundry. He began sending small gifts to her apartment, books, candles, a framed photo of the hospital staff that he cropped to show just the two of them. Emily told her best friend, Kara, who urged her to report it. At first, she hesitated. She didn't want to ruin his career, didn't want to seem dramatic. But one evening, When she found her car door slightly open and a handwritten note on the dashboard reading, "I miss you today," she realized it was time. She filed a formal report with hospital security and requested a restraining order. Ryan was called into HR, where he calmly denied everything, claiming it was a misunderstanding. He apologized, said he respected boundaries, and promised to stay away. For 2 weeks, he did. Then he started again, careful this time, quieter, leaving no direct proof. Behind the scenes, his fantasy was evolving. In his mind, Emily's rejection wasn't real. It was a script she was forced to follow. If he waited long enough, she'd break character and finally admit the truth. He just needed a sign, something dramatic enough to wake her up. Ryan started writing letters, long, rambling monologues about eternal love, destiny, and sacrifice. One letter read, "People don't understand our connection. They think it's wrong because it's rare. But when two souls are one, they can't live apart." The language was romantic, but the tone was desperate. Every sentence ended in a promise that felt more like a threat. Nothing can stop what's meant to be. Friends noticed Emily withdrawing. She stopped posting online, changed her number twice, and began staying with her sister. Her laughter, once effortless, turned cautious, half-hearted. She was living in defense mode, never sure when or where he'd appear. When police followed up, they admitted there wasn't much they could do without hard evidence. He hadn't touched her, hadn't made explicit threats. And so, like many victims of obsession, Emily was left to manage her own fear. But fear has a way of seeping into everything. Her work performance suffered. She started making small mistakes, forgetting equipment, zoning out during procedures. Her supervisor gently suggested taking a few days off. She agreed, hoping the space might help her reset. Ryan saw it differently. To him, the break was proof she was missing him too. Late one night, Ryan sat in his dimly lit apartment surrounded by mementos. Photos, scribbled notes, a single strand of hair he'd found on her scrubs weeks earlier. He told himself he was preparing for something beautiful, the beginning of their real story. He didn't see his behavior as wrong, only misunderstood. In his journal he wrote, "She'll see the truth soon. I'll show her I'm not the enemy. I'm the answer." What's most disturbing about obsession is how rational it feels to the obsessed. The human brain is a master storyteller. It can turn fear into devotion, guilt into purpose, and rejection into destiny. Ryan's mind had rewritten reality so completely that even the thought of stopping felt like betrayal. He began visiting places that reminded him of her. Parks, cafes, even the church she attended as a child. He'd sit in the back pew during evening services, watching quietly, blending in, convinced he belonged there. People who saw him said he looked calm, almost serene. That's the danger of obsession. It doesn't always look dangerous. Emily's friends tried to intervene again. They reminded her that she wasn't overreacting, that fear was a warning, not weakness. She started carrying pepper spray, varying her routes, double-checking every lock. But deep down, she just wanted normalcy back. The laughter, the lightness, the part of herself that didn't live in constant vigilance. One morning, she told Kara, "I think he's finally letting go." For a brief moment, it seemed true. No calls, no messages, peace. What Emily didn't know was that Ryan had started something else entirely, a project he called the Forever Plan. In his final entries from that period, he wrote about symbols, timing, and unity. He believed November 12th, the day of the first day they met, was their destined anniversary. He circled it in red on his wall calendar and wrote, "That's the day everything changes." From that moment, his delusion had an endpoint, a deadline, and that made it even more dangerous. For the next several days, Ryan meticulously organized his thoughts, writing letters addressed to family members, former colleagues, and even Emily herself. They were not confessions, they were declarations. Each letter reinforced his belief that what he was doing was necessary, even noble. Meanwhile, Emily tried to reclaim her life. She returned to work, began therapy, and told herself she was done being afraid. The staff welcomed her warmly, unaware that her stalker was writing his own closing chapter only a few miles away. In those final weeks, the city moved normally. Traffic, laughter, life continuing without pause. And in the middle of it all, two parallel worlds existed. One of a woman trying to move forward, and another a man convinced they were already inseparable. Morning came like any other, but the air felt heavier. The city seemed quieter, almost holding its breath. Emily's apartment, once a place of comfort, now felt like a stage. Every shadow, every movement could be him, or at least a possibility of him. When law enforcement arrived, it became clear that Ryan Hale's obsession had grown far beyond simple admiration. The apartment was a shrine to his delusions. Photographs of Emily, meticulously cropped and pinned, notes filled with declarations of forever, and journals cataloging every detail of her daily life. Detectives described the apartment as a psychological map, a window into a mind that had rewritten reality completely. He had followed her routines, memorized schedules, and cataloged habits that most people would never notice. Every boundary she set was ignored, every rejection rationalized as part of a secret game only he understood. Investigators quickly realized Ryan wasn't a typical criminal. He had no prior arrests, no violent history, no motive for robbery, anger, or revenge. His only driving force was a fixation that had consumed him entirely. When confronted by police, Ryan's demeanor was eerily calm. He didn't panic, deny, or resist. He simply said, "I was just trying to make her see." During interrogation, detectives asked him why he continued to pursue Emily despite warnings and a restraining order. He tilted his head and smiled faintly. "Because love doesn't follow rules," he whispered. "You don't walk away from your soulmate." The statements chilled investigators. They revealed the dangerous core of his obsession, a complete detachment from social norms and an unshakable belief in a personal destiny that justified any behavior in his mind. Months later, the case went to trial. Courtrooms were packed with reporters, colleagues, and concerned citizens. The media called it the obsession case, a stark reminder of how quickly affection can turn into control. Ryan sat quietly, almost serene. The prosecution outlined a clear pattern: escalating fixation, repeated boundary violations, and persistent surveillance that terrorized the victim. The defense offered a different explanation. They argued that Ryan suffered from erotomania, a rare psychiatric disorder that convinces a person that someone is secretly in love with them. Dr. Margaret Laird, a forensic psychologist, testified to this, describing the mental mechanisms behind Ryan's fixation. Ryan's actions followed a pattern of delusion, she explained. He did not act from malice or anger, but from a distorted sense of intimacy. He believed he and Emily shared a bond that justified every boundary she set. Her testimony illuminated a chilling truth. Obsession rarely looks like a crime until it becomes unstoppable. The jury deliberated and ultimately returned a verdict: guilty on all counts of stalking, harassment, and violating the restraining order. Ryan remained calm. He did not display remorse in the traditional sense. Even as the judge pronounced a life sentence, he whispered something that left the courtroom silent: "She'll forgive me when we meet again." Psychologists later explained this as the final stage of obsessional thinking, where even punishment is interpreted as part of the grand narrative the individual has created. In Ryan's mind, consequences were not a deterrent, but an inevitable plot twist in a story only he fully understood. Emily, meanwhile, tried to reclaim her life. Friends and family rallied around her. She returned to work, though the shadow of fear lingered for months. Counselors, advocacy groups, and security experts helped her develop strategies to protect herself, reclaim privacy, and regain confidence. Her story became a cautionary tale. News outlets highlighted the case, emphasizing how early warning signs, persistent attention, boundary violations, small acts of intimidation can escalate into severe psychological distress and legal entanglement. Emily's experience sparked national discussions about stalking laws, online privacy, and recognizing the psychological patterns of obsession before they turn dangerous. Ryan Hale remained behind bars, but his mind remained a case study. Psychologists noted several key traits that define obsessional offenders. Fixation on rejection. Every refusal becomes evidence of deeper affection or hidden intention. Boundary denial. Warnings, orders, or laws are interpreted as temporary obstacles or proof of a secret connection. Reality distortion. Events are rewritten mentally to preserve the delusion. Persistence. The obsession continues relentlessly, often escalating in intensity when the target attempts to escape. He wrote repeatedly in his journal, "She's the only reason I exist. Without her, I'm nothing." That sentence encapsulates the cognitive trap of obsession. Identity collapse. When a person's entire sense of self becomes tied to another individual, reality and desire merge, and the line between affection and control disappears entirely. Emily's legacy became more than survival. It became education. She spoke publicly about recognizing obsessive behaviors and trusting instincts when they signaled danger. Advocacy groups created workshops based on her experience, teaching individuals to recognize patterns of fixation before they escalate. Her story reminded society that obsession is not love, and that early intervention is critical. The story also leaves a psychological lesson for anyone studying criminal minds. Obsession often begins in mundane, everyday interactions, a glance, a gesture, a conversation. What escalates it is a combination of personality traits, cognitive distortions, and environmental reinforcement. To the outside world, the obsessed individual may appear ordinary, even harmless. To the victim, every interaction carries uncertainty, anxiety, and fear. Emily's case reminds us of the subtlety and danger of obsession. The ordinary can become perilous, and the mind can create a reality more compelling than truth. As we reflect on Ryan Hale's case, one chilling realization emerges. Obsession doesn't announce itself with screams. It grows quietly and visibly. It feeds on imagination, twisting admiration into entitlement, interest into control. And when it crosses a line, it leaves devastation in its wake. Not always physically, but psychologically, legally, and emotionally. Emily Carter survived. She rebuilt her life. Ryan Hale's story, however, serves as a reminder. The criminal mindset often begins in silence, grows in denial, and erupts when fantasy overrides reality. In the end, love doesn't kill. Obsession does. And the most dangerous place in the world isn't a dark alley. It's the space between imagination and control inside a mind convinced it's justified. This story was brought to you by Criminal Mindset. Here, we explore the thoughts that drive crime, the psychology that hides in plain sight, and the stories that teach us caution. If you found this story meaningful and compelling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Protect your peace, trust your instincts, and never ignore the warning signs of obsession.